coming from Ethiopia, yes, from Africa, certain countries, certain hijabis, for example, coming from Sudan. So sometimes what happened, it does happen, some of the young men, young women was taken home. Some culture tends to, honor the family, especially if she's the only girl. They do practice. They take them home for the vacation time, so it would be cut uncircumcised. That happened. However, there's also false accusation. We involve some young women, they tend to blame the family, or for whatever reason they say they've been cut, they've been circumcised. And so we have to go investigate, and we got involved, make sure the school got involved. Sometimes, most of the time, it's false. For that reason, at the airport, when the young women come back from the vacation from Africa, it could be from Asia as well, but certain profile get pulled on the side and ask, were you being asked to be circumcised? Were you being cut? Those are the kind of thing. But so our message is, let's work together. Let's raise awareness. It's forbidden in the United States. Or put the sign that, FGM is forbidden in the United States. Because that would create a problem within the community, not only that, within the family, which they did, because false accusation. So that's why we step in and just be mediator to the community and also the public agency.
But I guess the question I'm asking is, if they're coming from Africa and
originally they're from here.
Yeah,
they're born here. They go to the yeah.
They're not getting circumcised in the United States, so I guess I don't understand.
Even if they're there, the family has to be,
the family.
Yeah, church, whoever, take them over there and have it done. So that's the reason, yeah. Yeah, you want to say something?
I just want to add to what you are saying for the gentleman. It's called Operation Limelight. And it is born of the operation that took place in Heathrow, which was called the Spoon.
Yeah.
You know what, I can give you mine, we can share
As
microphones here,
my
sorry,
colleague,
just so you can hear.
chair of FGM
Yeah.
Task Force.
Gentleman, really. It's born out of, it's called the Limelight Operation. And it's born out of the idea that happened, the instance that happened in Heathrow Airport, and it was called the Spoon Operation. So basically, it's, we call it navigating bias. There is a concept of the practice that those who are living in the United States who have come here as first generation and have their children would, by choice, want to continue the practice, and they would take them for what we call vacation cutting to their countries. If that stops, then there's a possibility that the cutter would come to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So what has happened is HSI, which is Homeland Security Investigations, has decided to look at families, for example, going to those specific destinations, for example, Sierra Leone or Ethiopia or Egypt. And if there are 3 young or 4 young girls, to bring them forward, and it's very traumatic because what they do is the family actually has boarding passes, and you're in your lounge ready to get into your flight, and then they separate the girls from the parents. And then they compare the questions. And can you imagine the trauma on these young girls? To be pulled up by an agent or the parent and not knowing what is going on. So this is what we are, tonight, and our task force goes forward and talks to them about navigating bias and rewiring the mind. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I can talk out loud.
Okay, there you go.
This is also for tonight. I wanted to ask more about the FGM Task Force, aside from the vacation cutting, because I know that it still does happen within the U.S., so I'm wondering, do you have cases where women come up to you or girls come up to you and to the organization? And if so, like, how many are there that may come and say, like, this is happening within the U.S., or that's happened to them within the
Yeah, one of the task force member is she's the officer was Department of Homeland Security. She's one of the founders, so she had some data. I'm sorry, I don't have the data. Yes, it does exist, but as far as us, the task force, we encountered few, but it was founded untrue. There's young girls accused the mother, like, I guess they didn't like the stepfather, so they accused that they were taken and got cut, so we investigated. We do work with gynecologists who's working with FGM victims. You remember, and also FGM is one of the immigration status. If someone has that FGM cut or something, they can apply for asylum. That's one of the immigration case to get the status. So we do have a lot of FGM cases coming from that. So we have an attorney, work with them closely, we work, address the issue. So yeah, we have the data. Recently, it's everywhere. But so that's how we identify who's practicing here in the United States, be able to get caught or something, or report for DHS. But as far as this task force, mainly what we do, if there is any suspicious or accusation, we get involved. We talk to the parents, we do investigate, we do assess. More so, people who are already for real get caught when they were back home. We provide mental health services and attorneys, so they would talk to, because sometimes they're ashamed to talk about their own, experience going under that ritual. It's really difficult to get the real story. We have to take time after time after time to help them healing, to overcome the process, even if it's not United States and back home. But as far as here, there is several practice here in the United States.
My watch is dead, so do we have time for one more question? Okay, we're wrapped up.
Is there an umbrella association for all of you? So it seems like everybody is working in their own bubble, and maybe that's true or not. I don't know, because I'm not educated enough. But is there an umbrella where everyone can meet together and maybe work on the same cause together?
I might say places like this,
Okay.
where we come together. I mean, seriously, these are different organizations, but we're all coming together with common cause and conversation. But, to that end, I want to leave everyone here an opportunity to sort of with a call to action, and you could answer that question as your call to action, but if you could, with kind of one sentence, what you would leave the audience with before we end.
Can I just answer, not answer, but yes, this is how we meet. Unfortunately, everybody does everything. For example, for the task force, what we've been doing is bringing the expertise in different, or advocate for the voice. We bring them as a guest and share the experience, what they do. This is one opportunity which I'm so proud. But it doesn't have to be this organization. It could be you, it could be anybody in this audience. Be part of this process. It's a human being issue, it's a social justice issue. So we don't really identify or discriminate who's doing what. It's everybody is invited. So I can call get involved is my call of action.
Well, and Jack.
Mine is more of a challenge. I would ask you to think about whether or not the work or the activism you're doing is as effective and inclusive as you think it is. If you can't even bring yourself to use gender neutral language when talking about reproductive health or abortion access.
Yeah, in the spirit of this film event this evening, I want to suggest that we tell our stories, that we listen to each other's stories, that we respect all stories, and that carrying our stories with us, we create change together.
So I would say listen
listen to Black women, learn from the experiences and the stories that are being told, act, advocate, and empower.
I would like to say, basically just talk about periods. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid. And one thing that I wish that everybody would be is that we would all women or all menstruating people have access to hygiene products that we need. And I think that's one of the biggest things. Just to even have just that thing to take care of the needs of your body.
At USC sometimes. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you have a quarter, sometimes you don't. Anyway, on that note, thank you to Engender Health and Women's Voices Now and all the esteemed panelists and your, for being here and being part of this conversation that's transcending continents and cultures and reinforcing our shared commitment to advancing rights, health, and equity worldwide.
And thank you, Tracy, for moderating such a robust panel. We had to get a lot in there in a very little bit of time. So I hope that your curiosity was piqued tonight and that you want to learn more about Black Women for Wellness and the African Coalition and about Jack's work with We Testify. And Jack, you didn't say where exactly you're working, so maybe you'll let us know that in a follow-up email to everyone so that we can find out more about the work you're doing now and about Engender Health and watch more films that Celeste and her Girls Voices Now cohorts created in 2018 and beyond. And on behalf of Women's Voices Now, thank you to Engender Health and to Jennifer. It's been a pleasure working with you and coming together tonight. If you enjoyed what we experienced here, make sure to sign up for our email list, consider making donations, talk to us about other ideas, other topics you're interested in, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event, either in Los Angeles or elsewhere. Get home safely.